It's the most humbling thing I've ever seen. 70% of all EVs in the world, electric vehicles, are made in China. They have far superior in-vehicle technology. Huawei and Xiaomi are in every affordable vehicle. But the IP is in China. So we had to localize the IP in Michigan. So we really believe that a LiDAR is mission critical. I think we just need to be more humble as a country that they do things really well that we need to learn. Is that we need to understand that, just like I said, we need to understand that they do certain things very well and we need to learn. We need to start talking about industrial independence. It's very, very important. People do not realize how dependent we are as a country on making things on other countries. We cannot get any high-powered magnets without China. We cannot
Is that hurting you, the high-powered magnet?
Yes, we shut down plants for the last 3 weeks because we cannot get high-power magnets. Go into your speakers in the audio system, your seats motors, your wiper motors, your door motors, and we can't make that stuff.
And so you think if we start putting at least moderate tariffs, we might rebuild an essential economy sector?
And also other countries do it. So we are fighting with our hands behind the back. In many cases, our competitors have $5,000 to $6,000 of incentive that they're exporting. Today, China has a 20 million unit market domestically, but they have 40 million units of capacity. They can export.
Wait, there's capacity for electric vehicles or
all vehicles?
Okay.
They don't have to build one more plant, and they can serve all of North America and part of Europe without any more plant. So we are in a global competition, and these jobs are really great jobs. A job at Ford is $150,000, $200,000. It's a transformational job for people's lives, and we have to really understand what it's going to take to not just have modest tariffs, to have an even playing field, like you said, but also to recreate critical minerals, battery raw materials, manufacturing grade semiconductors. Oh, it's so exciting. We have all these new semiconductor plants in Arizona. They're making advanced nodes for AI. But most of the silicon that goes into industrial products that we all buy are manufacturing grade. They're 10-year-old. That all comes from Taiwan and increasingly from China. We won't be able to make anything if we get in a serious.
How many trips to China have you made in the past year?
I would say 6 to 7.
6 to 7?
Yes.
And what are you seeing there that we should learn from?
It's the most humbling thing I've ever seen. 70% of all EVs in the world, electric vehicles, are made in China. They have far superior in-vehicle technology. Huawei and Xiaomi are in every car. They have facial recognition.
Meaning cell phone technology.
Yes. Yes.
Connected to their cell phones.
Yes, you get in, you don't have to pair your phone. Automatically, your whole digital life is mirrored in the car. You have an AI companion that you can talk to, ChatGPT equivalent in China, to all the automatic payment is already there. You can buy movie tickets. It has facial recognition, so it knows who's in which seat and which media you like.
Wait, why don't Ford cars have that? Would you need to deal with Apple or?
Yeah, because Google and Apple decided not to go in the car business. And even beyond that, their cost, their quality of their vehicles is far superior to what I see in the West. I mean, we are in a global competition with China, and it's not just EVs. And if we lose this, we do not have a future at Ford.
And you think you can compete on the affordability field against BYD in China?
The key is innovation. To your point, you know, we did our homework on BYD. They're the global leader in EV volume, and we found a lot of opportunities. Let's say it like that. I'll give you one example. You know, American electric vehicles do not use LFP batteries. They're 30% cheaper. They can cycle twice. You can charge them twice as long in many cycles without deteriorating. But they are less energy dense. But there's almost no fire risk. They're real. And China bet on LFP. The West bet on these lithium batteries. and they have fire risk, and they're very expensive. But they are more energy dense. So one of the things we bet on is to move to LFP for this affordable vehicle. But the IP is in China. So we had to localize the IP in Michigan, and that's very difficult. A lot of politicians focused on that. But we think that's the best thing for America.
So if you do LFP batteries, sorry to get so geeky on this, think of what Elon Musk is doing.
Yes.
It's not just for cars. You might use it.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I would say you're absolutely right, because we have a lot of renewable energy now in our country, wind and solar, but they work sometimes and they don't work others. And there's a lot of energy storage that you need with this renewable grid now.
And so Ford could get into the energy storage business?
We could repurpose our facilities, take LFP technology and make energy storage batteries, not just EV batteries. And that's actually what Ford does.
Let's move into AI for a second, since it's been such, and start with real-world AI, which is basically autonomous driving,
Yes.
ADAS, and
Yes.
you were aiming at one point for level 4. I
Yes.
think you scaled back a bit.
Did.
Well, explain why you're moving away a bit from autonomous driving, and you're going to do like you did with the affordable vehicle and surprise us by leapfrogging and going ahead, maybe making a deal with Waymo or Tesla.
Good question. Autonomy is a really sexy and hard problem, as you know. You've written about it a lot. But if Ford, when Doug Fields came over from Apple and Tesla, he and I had a series of honest conversations about where do we want to make our bet. We don't have unlimited funds, and we decided as a company that a cooler problem than full autonomy in an urban setting was high speed, eyes off. Push a button and read a book in your car. Get 45 minutes.
That's only on highways.
Yes,
You
yes.
can't do it,
And the highway is a hard problem, but not as hard as what you would say Waymo or Tesla are trying to do in the urban environment. But most Americans spend 20 to 30 minutes a day on the highway. And a lot of it is very dangerous, and a lot of people are distracted with their phones. And to make it safer and to free up time in the short term, we did student body left. We took all of our level 4 funding, and we really focused on this problem, and we're excited to come out with that technology. At the same token, though, we are really excited about level 4.
Level 4 meaning what you'd call full self-drive.
Yeah, full self-driving with some kind of geofence. I think it's something that we're looking at really carefully.
You talk to my friend Elon?
Yeah. Yes, I won't go any further than that. But yeah, I think the progress that Waymo and
By the way, I didn't mean to call him my friend.
Yeah.
I just wrote a book about him.
Yeah.
I'm not his pal.
I would say we recognize that both of them have made a lot of progress, and this is now a
Meaning
scaling.
Waymo as well as
Yes,
Tesla.
yes, both of them.
Which one makes more sense to you?
To us, Waymo.
Because
We really-
it uses LiDAR?
Yes, we really feel for our brand, our people trust Ford. And when you have a brand like Ford, when there's a new technology, you have to be really careful. And we want to have a trusted brand, just like Mercedes and Volvo in the early days of Crash. And this is another wave of safety technology. So we really believe that a LiDAR is mission critical.
That's a
for
LiDAR, for
safety.
people who don't know, is sort of a light and radar system,
Yes.
not just a camera system.
It sends over 100 beams of light that bounces back, and you can see things, for example, a reflection on the back of a truck, or the sun in the camera's eyes where the camera will be completely blinded, but the LiDAR system will see exactly
But you
what's
think
in
you
front of
will get to full self-driving in the foreseeable future somehow?
Yes, I do, but I think for us it'll be a partnership model.
I forgot to follow up earlier on when you surprised me by saying you've been to China 5 or 6 times. Tell me, what are you trying to get a JV in China? Are you trying to buy BYD? Or what are you doing there? Mm-hmm. Well, this is off the record, so
Yeah.
you can confide.
It's a secret. No, I go for a couple reasons. I bring my whole leadership team. We don't leave anyone behind. And the first thing we do is we get the last 100 cars that launch there, and we drive as many as we can. And then we pick the 4 or 5 that we love, and then we put them on a plane and fly them to Detroit.
Wow.
And then we drive the crap out of them, and we take them apart, and we put them back together.
And do you also do that with the Tesla and Waymo full
Yes.
self-driving? Do you download it and test it on your cars?
Of course, yes. And back to China, you know, people don't realize that China has IP that America needs. It has battery
Should we
processing.
just steal it the way they do to us? No, I'm sorry.
I think we just need to be more humble as a country that they do things really well that we need to learn. And how we learn is through joint ventures and cooperations and partnerships, but we can't be so obsessed with China's enemy that we aren't humble enough to set up those business structures and then have people in those companies, in those JVs, that transfer the knowledge and the know-how back to the home company, Ford. Without this kind of mechanism, you know, these kind of partnerships, and by the way, they need us. We have distribution systems. We have intimacy with our customers that they don't know. They don't know how to make quality in a lot of countries. We do after 120 years. So there's a lot we can offer them in exchange to enable them. But we have to be careful to kind of, it's too strong of a word, but kind of demonize them as a competitor, because there is such thing as
I'm kind of hearing something there, which is maybe a small critique of the American political mindset now of demonizing China, slapping huge tariffs on them, thinking of them as the enemy. Would you urge more caution in demonizing China?
I would say how I like to think about it and how we've talked to leaders in Washington is that we need to understand that, just like I said, we need to understand that they do certain things very well, and we need to learn.
And if you tried to do a JV with them, would the Trump administration try to stop that?
I don't think so. Okay. I think they would, as long as it has the right guardrails, and it has the right guardrails, and we think about it the right way. I found very openness throughout the government and to do this, because I think they know it's required.
Mr. Farley, this presentation is very insightful. Thank you for that. It is very clear that we've been on a path of decoupling, certainly
yes.
On technology with China, and
yes.
now potentially beyond that. But given what you just said in terms of your experience with China, if you were to drive our policy, what would be the perfect balance in developing our competitive relationship with China? Because we've gone so, aggressive in so many ways, and there is a widely held perception that China is our enemy now. How would you describe a potential right balance of relationship with China?
Good question.
I see. I would say, first of all, we need to level the playing field. Their companies have subsidies, free land, free taxes, and they export that advantage. I don't have that. So we need some kind, but the company needs to own our side, which is competitive product and competitive cost. So there's two sides of that. But we need a level playing field economically. And so we need some help. The second thing is people need to understand a car is not a 1980s car. It has cameras. It has microphones inside of it. It can be autonomously driven. And therefore, it's extremely, if you're apprehensive about a balloon, you should be very apprehensive about a modern automobile. So we need to have guardrails about how the data gets moved. It has to stay in a cloud in North America. It can't be used against us. We need to understand these cars are incredibly powerful technology. The average Ford has $3,000 or $4,000 of silicon in it now. So we need to have policies in our government for national defense and privacy to protect our citizens. And that is required, number two. Number three, we need to have a government policy that gets serious about this industrial independence. We need to be able to make battery and raw materials. You know, a mine takes 20 years to approve in the US. Processing, forget about it. So we need to start building pilots, either in friendly countries or in our own country, to build raw materials that we're going to need for industrial independence now that we have our own energy independence. And then where there's IP, where we need that they have, we need to be open-minded, as I said, about getting that IP and working with them. It's just a reality. You know, they have been investing in electric cars for 20 years. BYD has not been doing this for 5 years. They've been doing it for 20 years. We have to get ready. LFP technology, it's iron phosphate chemistry, was invented in the University of Texas. They bought it, and now they perfected it, and they scaled it. And now they make 70% of all the electric vehicles with LFP, and we need that technology here. And so it has to be localized. Batteries don't have cameras in them, you know? So this is something we should be able to work with them and learn. I think those are the 4 key policy areas that need to be put in place.
I just want to say thank you so much for the leadership that you've both displayed. One of the areas that China's done a great job is vertical integration and sort of really managing. It seems like a very big component for winning in the next version of the space. And in all transparency, I'm part of advancing manufacturing and making LFP here in America better, faster, cheaper. So very much part of the solution. But I'm curious on that like bridging the gap from critical minerals to the vertical integration piece and how you're thinking about it, given that's so critical.
Such an important topic. I would say anytime there's a new technology like EVs or software-defined vehicles, there's kind of, well, in 1928, when we did the Model T, Mr. Ford had this belief that we could scale the Model T so high that he could drop the price half every year and get people off horses and in the Model T. And then his suppliers, because he didn't have all the money to do that, his suppliers started making a lot of money because he would just take all the suppliers because he didn't have all the capital to vertically integrate. And then the Dodge brothers made our bodies. And the Dodge brothers went into competition with us, even though they were supplying their own bodies. And so in 1928, he said, enough of this baloney. I'm going to build the first vertically integrated manufacturing facility with iron ore from the Great Lakes, our own wood from our own forests, sand to make our own glass. And he did it in 1928 with the Model A. It saved our company. And since then, we have seen many times Elon Musk, BYD, all believe in vertical integration. The issue is when you're in the first and second inning, it's an advantage. But when you get in the third and fourth inning, your suppliers get good enough that you don't have to put all that capital at risk and all that employment at risk. You could spend your money on other things. And that is exactly what's happening now. So the dance we're doing is, what do we really need to do ourselves? And what can our suppliers do? I'll give you an example. In our country, there used to be 20 low-pressure casting companies. Now there are 2. So when I make a frame for an F-150, I got 2 choices. And if a private equity company buys one of them and tries to squeeze them for cash, and they have quality problems, I have 1. So Ford maybe should go back into low-pressure casting because it's just, we're too vulnerable. So it's a constant dance between vertical integration and capital efficiency. And whether it's technologies that are aging out or new technologies maturing. It's been a factor in our industry for 120 years.
What do you want people to come away from this with? We'll let you in with that.
Really simply, there's a lot of great new technology to think about. But you need to think about it in its kind of disproportionate impact on our society. As a country, do we need a manufacturing base? Do we?
Yes.
Okay, if we do, for our society, then we better treat it with the respect it deserves, which we haven't.
Jim Farley, thank you.